Good afternoon, students. We're going to talk about comparing and ordering fractions, decimals, and percents. And that means converting.
Okay, yes, we're going to talk about compare, order fractions, decimals, and percents. So, first let's start with, some signs that they can use for compare. Greater than, less than, equal to. After you see some of the questions at the end, I want you to try to put in there one more way they can try to ask you compare. And now let's move on to order. They're going to ask you go from least to greatest, greatest to least. And then after you see some of the questions, be able to come back and fill in that box right there. And moving on. Let's talk about fractions. Fraction is a part of a whole. Decimal is a part of one. And a percent is out of 100. So both fractions, decimals, and percents are related. They're both part of something. Okay? So you can fill in your place value there if you would like. So let's talk about some common fraction, decimals, and percents. These are really good to memorize. It could save you some math. I've got 1/10 is 0.1. 1/5 is 2/10. 1/4 is 25 hundredths, and so on. So what I want you to do, since I know you know how to do this, I want you to fill in the percents. Just remember this wonderful little song called To the Left, to the Left, to the Right, to the Right. Just remember, you got to move it the right way, to the left or to the right. And think about, are you getting bigger? Are you getting smaller? Okay, so let's look at our first problem right here. Okay, and I went ahead and did it for y'all. We were trying to compare 1 and 2/10 and 3 halves. So I know the first thing when you saw this problem, you're like, 3 halves? That doesn't quite look right. I want you to see if you can put on that question mark right there what kind of fraction that is. So I know your first instinct is, oh, we gotta change it to a mixed number. Okay? And this right here is a mixed number because it has a whole and it has a fraction. So to do that, what I did was I pulled out a whole, because 2 divided by 2 is the 1. I had half left and I brought it down. So just to show you what pictorial is, my pi is cut into 2 because my denominator says how many my whole is cut into. But it says I have 3. 1, 2. So I had to draw another one to make sure I had those 3 halves. So then you got 1 1/2. Think about if you have $1, $1.50. That's $1.50, right? So if I add this 0 right here, does that change the value at all? No, it does not, Miss Gomez. No, it does not. I know that's what you're saying in your head. So if I couldn't just tell by looking at it, what I would do is I would line them up. This is my ones place, and those are both the same. So then I'm going to come to my tens place. My 5 is greater than my 2, so that means this one is bigger. So 1 and 2/10 is less than 3 halves. Okay? So all I did was use my converting, and I pulled in my prior knowledge, what I know about place value, to help me do this problem. So if you get a problem and you got fractions, decimals, and percents, I'll be like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Just think about it. You learned converting, so that's what you're going to do. Okay? So here we go. One more problem, very similar, but a little bit different. We're trying to compare 7/8 and 8/10. Now, don't let those 8s confuse you. You're actually going to have to do some work here. Okay, so remember, you are going to convert. Now, you can convert to decimals or you can convert to percents. It's whatever you feel more comfortable with. And then I want you to tell me which one you did in class, and I want you to be able to share why. Did you change them all to decimals and then leave them that way? Or did you change them all to decimals and then convert them to percents? Because it's easier for you to figure out with percents. Now remember, there's 3 ways to convert it. You can get brain power by memorizing that 1/8 equals 0.125, and I have 7 of those, so I can add 125 thousandths 7 times, so 0.125 plus 0.125, and I could just keep going. Or I can multiply it again. It's whatever you feel the most comfortable with. Or I can do the powers of 10. 7/8 equals, can I guess 8 go into 10? No, so that one doesn't work. 7/8 into 100? No, that one doesn't work. And they don't work because they don't have the same factors. But 7/8 into 1,000, now that works. Or multiples, they don't have to say multiples. There we go. Okay, anyway. So let's moving on. Or we could do Tybo. It's completely up to you. You are going to pick one of these methods. So you don't have to copy all 3 down. You pick one, and you work it that way. You work it whatever way you feel comfortable with. Okay? And again, you can leave them all as decimals, or you could change it to percents. It's completely up to you. Okay? Moving on to the last part of our notes. Again, we talked about compare and order, and we've only talked about comparing. So we still need to do ordering. Okay. So one of the ways they're going to ask you to do ordering is, of course, from greatest to least or least to greatest. So here's your 4 fractions. Your 4 numbers. 1/4, 32 hundredths, 28 hundredths, and 2/10. So again, you're going to look at them and you're going to be like, okay, how do I want to do it? Do I want to convert them all to fractions? Because again, that is an option. You can convert them all to decimals and leave them that way. Or you can go to the right, and convert them all to percents. Now, I'm going to give you the answer. There it is. Right there. Okay? Now, what you have to do, you have to prove that I'm right. You have to show me, or show how, you're going to show how I got my answer. I know. You're probably like, man, don't whine. I need you to try. Okay? So last but not least, I know. I know you're ready to be done. Hey, don't boo me because I gave you a couple problems to practice, okay? So here we go. I want you to try these questions, okay? I want you to try, okay? I want you to go through it, each question, and maybe highlight or circle or write up to the side a word that you don't understand, a word that is going to keep you from being successful so that we can talk about it in class. Now, if you look at number 1 and you think you got it, hey, I want you to try. Don't just look at it and figure it out. Try using that place value chart, okay? Same goes to here. I'm not going to look at it and just try and figure it out. I actually need to show some work. I could make them have common denominators, or I could convert them to decimals or percents. Again, that's completely up to you. Don't just look at it and be like, oh, I can't do this. And now I want you to do number 3, okay? This is something similar to what we just did, so this should be a little bit easier. Again, am I going to convert them all to decimals or percents? Again, to me, those are going to be the easiest ones instead of going and finding common denominators for everything. So, again, I want you to go in and try. But if you can't do the problem, I want you to write on the side, I'm having problems with this, so that we know exactly what we need to cover in class, and you're not like, oh, I forgot. I couldn't remember why I couldn't do it. So, again, a lot of this you should already know because we've been working on converting for a couple weeks. So go in here and try and bring your questions to class.